Travel and Things, in association with Rugged Wear, Real People, Real Clothing, and Real Solutions, presents In Conversation With. I am your host, David Batsoffen, and before I introduce my guest, winter is not coming, people. Winter is here already, and it is bitterly, bitterly cold as I record this in Johannesburg today. But thanks to Rugged Wear's new winter range, you can dress up toasty warm. And don't forget, Father's Day is coming. It's not too far away. So maybe getting something for Dad from this particular range is not out of the question. My guest today is from Ergonomicsdirect. His name is Jayson Chin. Jayson, good afternoon. Welcome to you.
Good afternoon, David. Thanks for having me.
It's only a pleasure. This is a first for Travel and Things, talking about ergonomic chairs. But I have to say, I'm seated in one of yours. I'm in fact seated in the Ergo Executive with the headrest. And it is probably one of the most comfortable chairs I have ever sat in.
Yeah. When we went out looking for chairs, our objective was to find a chair that sort of met all the ergonomic criteria and was affordable.
Okay, so talk us through the chair, because I know it has a variety of different features, some of which took me 2 days to find, because sneakily the chair is black and so are the controls. And if it wasn't for my wife that sort of dug underneath the chair and said, oh, what does this do and what does that do, I'd probably still be sitting in the position it arrived in when it was delivered just a couple of weeks ago.
Okay, so I'd say that that's most probably one of the biggest problem with ergonomic chairs, or can be,
right,
is that people don't use the adjustments. So the Ergo Exec has a few features. One is it's on wheels, so it can move around. Two is it's height adjustable, and I think later on we can talk about how to set the height of the chair. Three is that it's got a tilt or a lock function, so you can set the backrest either free movement or lock it in a particular angle. You can also adjust the tension of that movement. So if you wanted more resistance when you lean back or less resistance, one can adjust that. You have a sliding seat pan. So the actual seat that you sit on can slide forwards and backwards. And this is very important for taller or shorter people where your thigh length varies. So you can't have the back of the chair digging into the area behind your knee. So that slides. Then the chair that you're on also has 4D armrests. This means that they move forwards, backwards, in, out, up, down, and towards the body and away from the body for wider shoulders or wider individuals. It's got a lumbar support that's adjustable, so you can move the back support up and down into your lumbar curve, which is your lower back curve. And it also has a height adjustable headrest.
No.
So the thing that makes it ergonomic is the adjustment, and that's why it's crucial that one does fiddle to make sure that you keep adjusting the chair or adjust the chair initially to your height and then carry on fiddling. It's made to move.
Now, the one thing you have left out is that this comes with a weight limit of 113 kgs. Now, I want to know what happens at 114 or 113.5. Does the chair just, is there a voice that comes out of the chair and goes, you're not sitting on me?
There's no voice to pick you out, but it voids the warranty. So it can handle more, but with all warranties, and this chair comes with a 5-year warranty, is the warranties only up to a set limit. Yeah. And it's largely because of the gas lift, the gas cylinder that will then take strain.
Just let's go back to, firstly, I know in the review that I wrote on Travel and Things, I mentioned the fact that when Steve Jobs first introduced the iPad to the masses, he was asked, what is this? And he said, well, people don't know that they needed an iPad until I told them they did. And I think we all fell into that trap. I got one, it's lying in a drawer somewhere. I don't think I use it anymore. But I did not know that you needed a sliding seat pan until I was told I did. Now it's one of my favorite features on this chair.
Yeah, I think unfortunately, people take office furniture for granted.
Yeah,
You know, we're really motivated by pain, really, when we have to do something for ourselves.
yeah,
You know, it's very, and when we have to do something for our well-being. You know, a lot of people will keep eating sugar until the doctor says you're diabetic, and then all of a sudden you go, oh, maybe I shouldn't have drunk 2 liters of Coke a day. So with office furniture, unfortunately, back in the day, and it's not so much anymore, but people were ill-informed where they thought every chair is just a chair to sit on.
right.
But our lives have changed where people are no longer only sitting a few hours a day. Nobody has to get up for anything anymore other than going to the bathroom. This chair doesn't have a bathroom feature.
Not yet.
So you do still have to get up. But people are becoming more informed about what is the best thing to do to prevent injury, to prevent problems. And as we spend longer and longer in front of our computers, so we're looking for those solutions. And that's where ergonomics is moving to the forefront. And
Jason,
I'd say that the other expectation is often that work should look after us.
yeah,
So even if I'm uncomfortable, unless work buys me a chair, I'm just sitting in this piece of rubbish and moaning about it. And I think the work from home has changed that to a large degree,
yeah.
where we very soon realized that the dining room chair is not suitable. And it's actually not a massive investment for a huge return.
Well, this is it. I mean, as a travel writer, and specifically over the last year, what with lockdown and one thing and another, I found myself sitting in my chair for up to 7 or 8 hours a day. And I
Yeah.
thought that my previous chair was ergonomically designed, and I think that's how it was sold to us. Until I tried this one out, and within minutes, I realized that the other chair was not worth the capital. But as you correctly point out, firstly, this chair was almost hijacked by my wife, who decided that it would look better in her office than mine. But she subsequently got her own one, which is all well and good. But bottom line is that, as you say, it's a small investment to pay for long-term safety, almost or long-term health. It's like buying a motor vehicle and saying, if I don't buy all the airbags, the car will still go. I won't be quite as safe, but I'll just try and drive better. And it's the same with the
Yeah.
chair. You know, you don't realize that the dining room chair is not designed to be sat in for 7 or 8 hours. It's designed for the length of a meal, which is probably a half hour to 45 minutes at most in your house before you get up and go to the kitchen to get food or whatever it is. But as you point out, people don't want to spend money on something that will look after them and continue to look after them. As you point out, this has a 5-year warranty, which again speaks volumes for the quality of your chair.
Yeah. And you know, the warranty is on the components, but the chair will last a lot longer. And I think what's important is with ergonomics is the ability to change. So, you know, for you, using the chair to unlock the backrest, to allow your body to move in the chair, especially when you're planning or thinking or sitting on the phone,
Yeah,
you know, and then to lock the backrest in a position when you're possibly writing an article, when you know you're going to be static and in a fixed position for longer, to move the armrest up and down. So if you're searching online and you're using your mouse a lot or you're editing, one could raise the armrest so that your shoulder's supported in that position. And then again, when you're possibly writing or you're not using the armrest as often, you can drop it down again. Yours can turn in and out. So to adjust the armrest to different positions, if you're on the keyboard or on the mouse, just to make the chair is dynamic, so allow it to be dynamic. You know, it's if you liken it to the car, it's like never using your cruise control when you're on a long trip. It's just use the functions. And as wonderful as this chair is, it's still dependent on human nature. You know, it still requires you to set it up. And I think that's important to touch on how to adjust a chair to make sure that you are actually sitting at the right height.
I would,
and then looking at peripherals if one requires it, to really make a few simple changes to turn the environment into an ergonomic environment. You know, you could sit on a wonderful chair at the wrong height with your screen at the wrong height, and you're not very ergonomic at all.
now, looking at the close-up, you mentioned the lumbar support, and that's what it is over here. This only goes up to a particular distance, and then I realized that the clue is in the actual word. This is not designed to go all the way to the top and to give you support up here behind your shoulders. It's lumbar, which means it's down there. That's number one. And then number two, something that I've been speaking to people about is, how do you adjust? What is the correct height for the chair?
Okay, so when you're setting up your workstation, for most people, the fixed item is the desk height.
Right.
And your body height. So you now need to try and match your body height to the height of the desk, because those are the two fixed heights. So with you sitting in the chair, you want to raise the seat height so that with your shoulders relaxed, your feet on the floor, your arms are at a 90-degree bend at the elbow, more or less 90-degree bend at the elbow, and parallel to the surface of the desk.
Okay.
So things you can change. If one's slightly on the shorter side, so anything from, I'd say, with most desks 5'8" and down, you might require a footrest to allow you to have your feet properly supported while having your arms at the right height.
Okay.
So a lot of people will make sure that their feet are on the ground, or they end up bending their knees further back and having their toes on the ground. And that's no good. So the seat height, the height of the chair, is with your shoulders completely relaxed, your arms bent to more or less 90 degrees. You are then able to slide in underneath the desk height. That would be the chair height.
I think this particular person here, this slouched over fellow here, is where we all,
the tortoise.
Yeah, the majority of us find ourselves in an office space, or specifically where you are working from home and your dining room table is not necessarily the right height or the same height as a desk, but because of COVID, you're now working from home. And not only do you not want to buy a chair, you don't want to buy a desk either, because you don't have the room. No. So you're working off a surface that already puts you at a disadvantage. And as you look at these guys sitting up straighter and straighter, and I know that as we speak, you're at one of these stand-up desks, which I think more and more people are using because of posture, and also just you don't tend to slouch or fall asleep at your workstation.
Yeah, well, I think the biggest thing with a standing desk is being able to change your position. So to spend a period of time sitting and then standing. You know, there's a saying that says the best posture is the next posture.
Okay.
So to be dynamic in your movement, it's the same as they suggest for various reasons that one should get up every 45 minutes to an hour and walk around.
Yeah.
You know, standing has various benefits on your vascular system, on your neurological system. There's weight bearing, which is good for your bones. You actually burn fat. You actually lose weight while standing. So it burns energy. It improves concentration. So there's various benefits to standing. And if one can have a standing desk, and it's not just standing, it's called a sit to stand desk. Okay. So one could then, for starters, adjust the desk to a lower height or to your body height when you're sitting, and then adjust that back up to standing at various heights. But you know, to just discuss a few postural things around setting the height of the chair and some of the other adjustments with the chair, if I could touch on that. You mentioned the lumbar support, and I think we again often expect the chair to hold us. The lumbar support is just that, just a support. It's to fill the curve in one's lumbar spine.
Right.
It's to fill that area to stop you from curving in the wrong position. You know, that curve is it's a concave curve. You don't want to be convex. You don't want it curving out.
Yeah.
And it's actually to hold your lower back so that the mesh backing can support your upper back. And what's important, to get this, you have to sit back in the chair. And this is where the seat pan slide comes in. For a lot of people, your thigh length determines how far back you can go in the chair. So for the shorter individual, or for the person with a shorter thigh, you would slide that seat pan all the way back. And as a general rule, you want about 3 fingers between the crease at the back of your knee and the seat pan. The other thing that happens to a lot of people that sit for a long time, where you can't adjust the seat pan and you like to sit back in the chair, is if the back of the seat digs into the back of your knee area, it's called the popliteal area, it actually blocks your circulation. So it's very bad for circulation to have the chair pushing into the back of your knee. And these are the people that are then trying to sit with one foot up or crossed, or your legs far forward. And this has an impact on your posture, because having your feet on the ground or on a footrest allows you to push back into the chair. And it also allows you to distribute your body weight through the whole body down into the feet.
Who would have thought there was such a science involved in what is the humble office chair? If you look back to the 40s and 50s, when people were working in offices, they were, just a chair was a chair was a chair. You were lucky if it went up and down, specifically on a gas ram, because those old chairs, you had to turn them to go up and go down. They were on a screw thread, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. They were, but the interesting thing, and I think I can definitely remember it, and I think in South Africa, we still have some of the desks at school where, even back in the day, we used to have a sloped desk,
yes,
a slanted desk.
Correct.
And a slanted desk is a lot more ergonomic and allows you to sit back and read documents at an angle, which is much friendlier to the eye than a flat desk. So flat desks are actually computer desks. They're not writing desks, they're not reading desks. And it's partly the desk that has also changed the dynamics of the chair. And then in the 40s and the 50s, where a lot of people walked to work, took a half an hour tea break, a 1 hour lunch break, and a half an hour tea break in the afternoon, and used to walk to go get their mail out of pigeonholes. Just the whole working dynamic was very, very different.
It certainly was.
Now you have a computer programmer that will sit behind his computer for 18 hours a day.
Well, this is all those gamers that sit in chairs that look like they've been designed by NASA to go into to take you to the ISS or something like that.
Yeah, gaming seating is a whole nother story, and I think the youth and ergonomics and the changes that will need to come about for their development is a whole nother topic that needs discussing.
Jayson, in wrapping up, and before I ask you to give me details where people can find out more about the chair, is there a reason why the back of the chair is mesh and not in a similar material to the seat pan?
So it's there are different options when selecting chairs. Pitt, my partner at Ergonomicsdirect, and I really went out searching for a chair that was value for money, that had all the ergonomic adjustments, provided the correct support, had the right guarantees, and came in at the right price. And these were the chairs that we found. The mesh allows for more breathability, which is quite important in our South African climate particularly. And again, it allows a certain amount of sag, if you will, where that supports the lumbar spine. So if one doesn't have that amount of the give of the mesh in the material, it then has to be quite a thick padded backing. And those then move into a whole different price bracket, et cetera. So the mesh allows breathability, it's good looking, which is quite important because often interior designers or officers choose chairs based on their looks as opposed to their function. and it's very comfortable. So that was our selection criteria around that.
I seem to remember that some of the blurb on your website said that it will look good because it's an executive chair. It looks good in an executive office or in a regular office. You know, to heck with regular office. If I was working in a corporate environment, I'd want one of these. I don't want to sit on something that they picked up at a cash and carry that cost R75. I want a proper chair if I'm going to be working for the man for hours at a time.
Yeah. I think one will find that the investment pays itself back very, very quickly. Very, very quickly. They've done studies on that, and they find that it's one of the quickest return on investments, ergonomics.
Now, for people who have watched this and go, ooh, I want one of those for me, or want to drop a hint to either a husband or a wife and say, this is what I need for Father's Day / my birthday and or Christmas. How do they find you? How do they find Ergonomic Direct?
We are online and on all the social platforms under ergonomicsdirect.co.za.
It's as simple as
As easy as that. You can contact us. We have support staff that can support you in terms of determining what chair you require, and to talk you through peripherals if necessary. We also can view photos of your workspace to make suggestions on what will fit or work best for you. So just by going to Ergonomics Direct, they'll be able to see all the products available.
Jayson, don't go away. I'm going to say goodbye to you momentarily. But first, we have to go back to the marketplace and back to Ruggedware's ladies and men's high quality winter jacket range, which is now available. And just to give you a heads up, Ruggedware is about to launch a whole new range of products going from winter into summer. So something to keep in mind. And remember, they are a company that are manufactured here in South Africa. Real people, real clothing, real solutions. Jayson Chin, who is from Ergonomics Direct, thank you so much for being my guest and for teaching me stuff that I really did not know about chairs, and more specifically about the ergonomics of chairs.
Thank you, David. I'm glad to share, and I hope we can reach out to all those that are stuck behind their computers all day long.
My guest in conversation with has been Jayson Chin. Jayson, once again, thanks very much for joining me.